Hi everyone, this is Rick Prokop, and today in our first video we're going to look at what are the characteristics that make an orchid healthy. And I think the first thing that most people would do was look to see if there are flowers and go, oh yeah, those are beautiful flowers, this is a really healthy orchid. However, that's not always the case, because the true nature of the health of an orchid is determined by the condition of the leaves and then by the condition of the roots below them. So let's begin by looking at the leaves. Healthy leaves feel like they're rubber. They're very stiff. See, if I fold them, they spring right back. Very often they point up, but not all the time. And the stiffness factor of a leaf is determined by an interesting phenomenon called turgor, T-U-R-G-O-R, pressure. And here's how the process works. In a hypotonic environment, meaning a dry environment, where there's an absence of water, what happens is osmosis causes water to enter the cell, making it swell. The pressure created by this influx is the turgor pressure. There's also a sheen that varies in intensity based on the orchid that you're looking at, but it's almost like the leaf has been lacquered and can sometimes have the appearance of a glossy photo. Let's look at some other examples of healthy leaves. This one has a more moderate sheen to it, but it's really healthy. A very rubbery feeling. This leaf points down, and if I curve it up, it springs back down. This leaf is now pointing upwards, and if I curve it down, it springs back up. And there's also a nice new leaf coming in the center. And this one has a little more sheen to it. The leaves are pretty much pointing up. I fold it down. Here you can really see the sheen now. Bango. It's like a toy almost, where you play with it and it has this memory. And this is the turgor pressure at work. And here's another one with nice, healthy, glossy leaves. Rubbery to the touch. Most of these are curved downward. This new leaf here has yet to completely unfold. This doesn't happen all the time, but it's happened twice with this particular orchid. So probably in a week or two that will unfold and we'll have a whole leaf there. And this one has very large leaves. Some of them are curling down, some of them are curling up. And look at this, if I open these, if I open the sides of this leaf, they spring right back. It's very hard. And again, that rubbery feel is present everywhere. And this long leaf is somewhere in between curving up or curving down. And I think it's just going to stay there. And if we zoom in, you see this nice little leaf growing out of the center. Just as healthy as all the rest of them. That pretty much takes care of the leaves. Let's have a look at the roots now. Healthy roots have a light green, silvery coloration. When exposed to water, they turn a dark green, much like the dark green in the leaves. Additionally, they're very hard. So if you attempt to squeeze one of these things, there's tremendous resistance to that. It's like squeezing a piece of wood or a rock or something like that. That's how hard they are. Another indication of a healthy orchid And a healthy root system is the proliferation of these little green tips at the end of most of the roots that you see here. I'll zoom in a little bit so that you can see them. Another really good indicator of root health is when you have a seemingly old root. Now this one, it even feels woody down here. And if it ended here, I would say this root is finished. Nothing more is going to happen with it. But look at what happens as we go further down the root. A root bud, a brand new root bud is popping out right here. And we go down another 2 inches, and there's another one. This is a great sign. And then as we go further down, this root is still viable, but nothing's really happening down here. Now, if you see an old root and you want to test to see if it still has life in it, just take your fingernail and gently scrape the surface of it. And you see the green coloration under there? So that means it still has potential for growth, probably through a root bud popping off of it. Over here is a case of a root that terminated, meaning it came to an end right here. You can see, and it kind of curves up. And so this, rather than being a continuation of this old root, is a bud that sprang out towards the end of this root. So that's what's happening there. So it's the same kind of thing as what we saw over here, but it's just now at the end of the root. Over here, we have a relatively new root coming off the base of the plant. And shooting off this root are 2 buds. And they're really healthy because they both have the little green tips. So they will develop into roots of their own and perhaps newer root systems that will spring off of them. And then at the end of this root, there's a root tip, which indicates that the entire root is still growing. That is the entire original root, irrespective of these root buds. Very often the roots that are above the root stem and are not getting watered frequently, they're the last to develop root tips. And after about a year, these are beginning to wake up. So I'll zoom in, and you can see there's a tiny little green tip here. This one has begun already. There's another green tip forming there. And here I've turned it so you can see definitely a little green tip right there, plus this new tip here. So orchids like these are in what I call a condition of stasis or balance, meaning that their leaves and roots have achieved maximum health. Look at this one. Same thing over here. And then over here, same type of situation. Big fat roots, healthy roots, and nice stiff leaves. And this is the state that you want to work toward with all of your orchids, because at this point they're ready for air culture and they'll require very little water to maintain stasis. Well, that should do it for identifying the characteristics of a healthy orchid. Please stay tuned for additional videos.